welcome back to Work in Progress of Nicole Engelmann. Today I'm joined by Maddy Shine. She's a visibility expert, but also the founder of Sassy and Soft, which is a done-for-you SEO service, but also the host of Pints and Purposes, which is a Southeast London community meetup, right? For
Yes.
female founders and non-binary founders. She will tell you a bit more about the business. I kind of glazed over it a bit. But Maddie and I, we've known each other we don't even know, like we kind of talked about how long, but it must have been at least like 2018 or something like that. Definitely
Yes.
pre-COVID, yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely pre-COVID. But we can't really remember how we met,
Yeah.
and nor what it was.
Exactly.
But it's definitely been a few years, yeah.
Yes, and thank you for joining. I love when I saw that you wanted to take part in this and have a nice chat with me online.
Absolutely, yeah, it'd be lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
So tell us a bit about, what you do, how your journey has been so far, how long you've been in business.
Oh my goodness, yes. So I have just celebrated my 13th year in business. Thank you. It's kind of wild to me to say that, even though I said it quite a lot on social media and to basically everyone I've ever met this month, because this is my longest ever relationship. This is my longest ever job. And it's weird that it's my own thing, that I built this and that I continue to do this. And it might sound very cheesy to say, but I am absolutely delighted that I have been running my own business this long. So why did obviously I started my business 13 years ago. I was a completely different person, I feel. I started my business because I was made redundant from my marketing job in South London, and I had no idea what I should do with that. It was a recession. No one was hiring marketing managers at my level. It was really tough, and I had no idea what to do. So I went traveling. I took my redundancy check and I went traveling with it. And I was like, oh my God, I never did the traveling thing before. I never did a gap year like that. I never, I'm quite a homebody in many ways. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go travel. And then I met all these people who that's what they do. They travel and they find ways of making it work money wise. And I thought, okay, well, this is quite inspiring to me. How can I do this? How can I use my skills to, do the same? So I was like, well, hang on a second. I've always wanted to make a thing about online marketing. And one of the reasons why I didn't like the job I'd been made redundant from was it was very much about print marketing. I thought, oh, online marketing, I've got some skills in that area. So being self-taught and a bit entrepreneurial right from the get-go, I started to network online. Instagram was a brand new thing back then. So I was just following and speaking to as many people as possible. Facebook groups were very much a thing for me to get work. And so I just started getting all this freelance work in basically social media marketing, SEO, web design, you name it, online marketing wise, I was doing it. And I was like, oh, this is great. And I really kind of grew quite quickly because Facebook groups was such a big thing at the time. And once the word gets out, then you can start getting tagged left, right, and center. And it's great. Love it. But I was like, hang on a second, this is quite a lot of work. And I really wasn't charging enough. I used to charge £30 for a power hour with me. Like, it really was. I mean, we've all been there, but it really was. So, and so obviously I was like, okay, well, how do I move out of my parents' place? Because by that stage, I'd come back from traveling and I was going through a divorce and life was lifing. So then I started bringing in a team, and I had a team of friends who were my contractors, and that all sort of started to happen. Then I realized actually they were just getting all the money that we were earning, and I still wasn't really getting paid very much. So I went into the online course world and I launched my first course. Maybe that's how we met. And so this is like 2018 by this stage. I've been running my business 6 years, launched my first SEO course. And I was thinking about this before we recorded. I got 10K. I got 10K in that first launch. And I thought, Nicole, that I was a massive failure for only getting 10K. Can you believe it?
Oh my
My
God.
God, the audacity. The audacity. I was like, I mean, God, give me 10K, Jesus. I only mention that because that's how messed up the online course world was for quite a long time. And, you've seen it. And it was just kind of wild to me that I was like, oh, no, no, 10K isn't very much. I should have got 30K from no audience. Come on, Maddie, give me a break. Anyway, so then I sort of, I started like listening to all the wrong sales coaches and all this kind of stuff. And I was, built the online course empire up. And it was great. It did serve me very, very well for a long time. I connected with so many people. And at one point I was doing like challenges to over 1,000 people. And like, it was wild. It was really, really big. And then it all sort of kind of didn't come crashing down, but coming out of lockdown, I was like, my nervous system really can't handle this. And I don't really know why. And turns out undiagnosed ADHD, and my brain just couldn't handle that massive high of the launch. And like, it felt like a massive crash after each launch. I was like, no. So I closed all that down. Not immediately, but I closed it all down around my 40th birthday in 22 and started
That
closing
was
it
the
down then.
visibility membership, right?
Yeah, because I had a
Yeah.
visible vibes membership community, which obviously you were a part of.
Mm.
I taught a blogging course. I think I taught it 6 times in a row. I was like, I'm done with teaching this course. I love everyone who is in it, but like,
Mm.
my goodness. And yeah, so I closed it all down just in time for my family to have a massive crisis.
Mm.
So um, it's been quite the roller coaster. I mean, that's the short version.
Yeah.
But that's certainly the journey to date. But I'm very, very glad that I did start up, because I never really stopped doing the done for you SEO for certain clients. I'm really glad that I sort of started to build that up again before the family crisis hit, because that's really what's carried me through,
Yeah.
bread and butter wise, basically.
Yeah, yeah. There was
Yeah.
there was literally time because I think I left the membership probably maybe like 6 months or so before you closed it down. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it must have been around that time. And I was like, oh, I haven't heard anything or I haven't seen her for a while. What's happening? You kind of disappeared for a while. And then obviously you came back and like said, oh, there's this massive thing that just happened in my family. And, my focus has been somewhere else. And, I'm still alive, but I will be a bit
Yeah.
quieter. So how did you
Yeah.
find navigating through this? I mean, you
Oh
can
my
share whatever
gosh.
you want about it.
No,
Obviously, there's no.
I'm absolutely fine with sharing about it now. I mean, it's really weird because I had built a personal brand on being so optimistic and so like, joyful and cheering people up and dancing on Instagram and all this kind of stuff. And then when life happens and it really, really knocks you for six, obviously, when a family member becomes unwell, then you don't want to dance on Instagram. Like, I think only a sociopath would still want to carry on, And I didn't know what to do, because what I'd realized as well, when I sort of realized I didn't want to do the online course world anymore, was I felt like I was separating myself already, even before the family stuff, like between this like online persona version of me and how I was in every day. And what I really, really wanted was to connect with more people. And what I found was I was separating myself from those people instead. It just felt really messed up. And I was like, what, who the hell do I think I am? I'm not like Beyonce or something. Come on. Like it was really strange to me. And I didn't know how to deal with that. And I suppose, that really came to a head when my dad got ill, because I was like, right, I'm just gonna go quiet for a while and just focus obviously on what's needed. I was traveling a lot to and fro. My dad was in 8 different hospitals over 10 months. So it was just like this crazy time and my nervous system was just like, you can't handle anything right now. Just do what you can and just get through it. And I'm very grateful to the clients who hired me in that time, because I wasn't being visible. I wasn't being like, hi, I'm available, come hire me. But also, if I'm truly honest, it really showed me what I was doing for fun in terms of being visible, and what actually works in terms of being visible to bring in clients and bookings, to be honest. So that felt really good. And was a good lesson to learn. But it's such a weird thing being visible online anyway. It's not, we don't grow up at school learning how to build a personal brand. I'm sure that's coming thanks to TikTok and all that jazz, but it's so weird. And it's like, well, personal brand really is so built around what you think other people want from you, and not actually what do you want to show up for, which is, I think, why people feel so complicated when it comes to speaking up about political things or speaking up about world events. I'm trying to be light rather than,
Yeah, yeah.
like a lot of people are like, oh no, I can't, it feels so weird because you're worried because what your personal brand is actually built on is what other people might like. And that was a really, really unhealthy place for me to ever be based in. But it was something that I had learned from watching other people, and therefore that's what I thought I should be doing. And thank goodness I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing, right? That we are doing stuff that we think other people like or we think we should do. Like you said earlier with the course, only 10K, because people are telling you, oh, I made 50K with my launch. And then you feel, oh gosh, I've only done a fifth of that. I must
Yeah.
be bad. Whereas other
Yeah.
people, they try a launch and they don't get anyone, or they get 10 people and that's it. So it's really hard. And I think as well, what you touched on earlier, that you kind of separated yourself from the community that you wanted to be part of. That's the other thing, I think, when people, obviously you're working hard to make a name of yourself and be recognized in your field, which you were. Like Maddy Shine was literally, everyone heard of you at some point during that time and even now, but it also puts you on a pedestal, right? So there's a kind of separation, almost, I don't know, like you said, Beyonce or a leader or something. So they're always like, can I touch you kind of thing? Whereas like, I'm just one of you. I'm just a business
Yes.
owner as well.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. So, I mean, I had moments where I would go and I would be a speaker at an event, and people would come up to me and ask me for selfies. They would do drawings of me and send me them. They, like my ego was loving life. Like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, like, look at me. I'm such a big deal. But like, also, I was like, oh, why do you like little old me? It was a bizarre time. Again, loved the attention, but then of course I did things like I really went off on tangents. Like I have my own gifts, you know this. I have my own gifts that you can still use online. I built them and they went viral. They've been seen over 800 million times around the world. Like I've been recognized down the pub for my gifts. Like it's so bizarre. Because and then people go, oh, it's a shame you don't. Can you imagine if you'd earn like a penny for every gift use? And I'm just like, why is it about money? And then I was like, oh my God, that doesn't sound very entrepreneurial of me, does it? Like, but also what I've realized is with this whole, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur and what does it mean to be successful and everything, is like, oh my God, does being successful mean that I have to be like this hard-nosed capitalist person, like throwing my values into the toilet? No, because I might as well just go and get a job in the city and wear a boring suit and go and work for someone else. Like it's just not very me. And it's definitely something I'm still learning about. It's definitely something that I like talking about, because who said that it had to look like that?
Hmm.
Who said it had to be a certain way? And that's also why I like hanging out with community, because I'm getting off the pedestal that maybe I built myself, but it's sort of like, well, let's figure this out together, rather than no, we'll all look to you, Maddie, for the answers. And I'm like, I don't bloody know, do I? Like,
That's the irony of it, right? Once you kind of have a name for yourself, they look, I'm like, oh, what should I do? It's like, I have the same struggles, right? It's like,
yes.
I think the good thing is, like, being in business for 13 years, for me it's 11. You kind of, certain things where people start out, it's like, oh yeah, you should use this service, or have you heard about this and this? This is really helpful and helped me, kind of thing. So you have that kind of wisdom, but that doesn't mean it works for them. It worked for me at the time, and I just can kind of share that, but that doesn't mean I'm an expert. I just have done this for longer. So I've passed the stages that you're at.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, someone was asking me the other day which course platform is the best, and I'm like, well, what do you want to do with it? You know, like you name it, I probably tried it at some point, but like it's what do you want to do? I really, I think that there's no, how do I phrase this? It's not about that one person being an expert in that thing. It's about, okay, there's a piece of expertise with this person. And that might not be what they're currently selling. but they're still really good at that bit. So go and speak to them about that. And that person,
Yeah.
they are selling that, and that is what they're good at. And that's where you go to, I think it's a lot more fragmented and a lot
Yeah.
more. I mean, obviously, I love being known as the SEO expert, but I am not the SEO expert. I am an SEO expert. Do I know everything about there is to know about SEO? No, I don't. Spoiler alert. No, that's completely impossible. Not even someone who works at Google knows that, So, like, it's just, for me, it's just about figuring out the pieces of the puzzle, I suppose. That's probably the analogy that's probably best describes how I see myself now fitting into all these other brilliant people that I see online or that I know through wonderful communities or whatever it might be.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. There's, like you said, there's not one right thing. Yes, you're good at SEO, but maybe someone is looking for something very specific. Let's say a big corporation looks at a different SEO expert than a small business owner, right? So there's a different kind of knowledge. Or also working with smaller businesses is something you love, whereas someone else likes the big corporation stuff. So it's what's right for you.
Absolutely. Although, having said that, I do have a corporate client at the moment, so I am working with that kind of company. It's very interesting, sort of noticing what I enjoy about my work and what makes me sort of show up for work in the morning, and what am I looking for? And I've realized that I am looking for so much more validation than people are willing to give me anyway. I'm like, it's like tapping into this, like, I don't know, unmet need. And so actually, it's up to me to obviously validate myself, but also to look at what I do love to do. That is the thread that's running through it.
Hmm. So is that how you would define success for you, that you do what you love, or rather than any kind of metrics that you can kind of put on numbers?
I think my idea of success has definitely changed, because I always thought it was, the launch number, the amount, at one point I was I feel bad about this, but I did was like, oh, it's about the number of followers, it's about number of likes. But of course, that's also what we're all trained to believe. Oh, you must be more loved because you've got a bigger following or some BS like that. But actually, I suppose my idea of success now is that I am able to rearrange my day to look after myself, because my mental health really needs to take a priority. Undiagnosed ADHD, now diagnosed ADHD, now suspected AU ADHD. Like, there's just, I mean, I just really need to, I'm learning to advocate for myself with myself. But in that, I need to build my business around that. Now, with all my family stuff, I need to be able to, okay, block out that day so I can go and see my parents or whatever it is. Or go and have my niece to stay for the weekend, like I did last weekend. And it's just really important to me to, take Fridays off again now that my nervous system is slightly more regulated again, and go and do the things, get my nails done, go and see the osteopath, life stuff that I was like, oh no, can't, because I'm building a business, I'm hustling. Even though I'm trying to pretend that I'm not hustling, I'm definitely hustling. So I think that, the idea of success has definitely changed. And now it's like, am I living my life? Am I happy in this moment? What does happiness mean to me, rather than what does success mean to me?
Hmm.
I think that's probably what I'm looking at.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing. If you think of success as happiness, then it's way easier, right? Well, I wouldn't say easier, but it is a bit more real rather than like, I want this kind of, 5K or 10K month. That doesn't mean you're happy, right? You can have that success, but it doesn't make you happy. And you only realize once you actually hit that, because you think it
Oh my
makes you
God.
happy.
Honestly, I remember I hit six figures in lockdown, in a year, and thanks to all these launches that I was doing. And I remember a coach saying to me, right, you can join this mastermind now. It's 18 grand to join this mastermind. And I was like, okay, what am I going to get from this? And she was like, it's more about like the rest of the masterminders. I was like, but you're charging me 18 grand to mix with other people. Like, what are you doing here? And she was like, well, the next thing is like multi six figures. The next thing is seven figures. And I was like, no, I'm really tired. And my nervous system is completely crashing. And I don't want to do any of that. I realized that I was spending so much time on like the tech and the back end that I was feeling further and further away from the community, and the community contact was making me happy, which is something I love about doing the done for you stuff with my Sassy and Soft agency now. So I do basically two main services. There's one with like an SEO audit, and I give you the recommendations and the training, and you do it yourself, or I've got the done for you package. And so what I've realized is I absolutely love having that contact with clients in this way, because they're like, "Oh, hi, Maddie, look at these results." I'm like, "This is great. Let's do some more." Like it's just sort of motivating on both sides. Whereas I feel like when I was sort of, leading this community and I was getting further and further away, and I was like, no, I want to know what that person's doing. Like what's up with Nicole's keywords, or what's going on, like, and I just couldn't handle that en masse. So I definitely see that. I think your original question was about happiness, but like what makes me happy about showing up and doing the work is that, yeah, sure, I love my job, but like it's not, I cannot be considered successful just because I love my job. Like I'm content and I'm happy, so I think that's probably it's complicated, there's
Yeah.
not a simple answer, basically.
Nothing's ever easy, is it?
No.
And about the ADHD and the suspected or ADHD,
Yeah.
the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh yeah, it's a delight. It's a
Yeah.
delight.
How do you handle your business or being a business owner now that you have the diagnosis? Has there something changed?
Oh yeah, significantly. So I no longer am horrible to myself when I go down rabbit holes. So I'm really good at going down rabbit holes. Like a new task management system someone's talking about. Sure, sure. I'll sign up for the free trial. I'll move everything over. It's going to be great. It's going to be color coordinated. It's gonna sparkle. Then it doesn't, and then I get upset. And then I'm like, oh my god, you've wasted days of your life on this. I know, that that's a sort of flippant example, but there's so many different ways in which I am really horrible to myself about the way that my brain works. And whilst I'm still figuring it out in the rest of my life, at work, I am getting better at giving myself a structure, but a loose structure, so that I am still motivated to show up and do the work. Because my brain will otherwise go, no, this is too much of a structure. Even though you've spent months of your life setting up this structure, I am going to abandon it. So I love a process. I love everything written down. I love video tutorials that I leave for myself. I love everything. Like I want, if someone, if something happened to me, then technically you could just go in and do everything because I've laid it all out nice and smoothly. Not that that would happen, but like I like that, because sometimes my brain, particularly because it ties so in my perimenopausal phase that I'm now in, and I've got PMDD, so it like my cycle really affects my ADHD. So certain weeks of the month, I feel like an absolute potato, and I'm like, I can't remember anything. I don't know what, and I'm like, but I've got to do the work. And I know that when I do the work, I'll get the satisfaction from doing the work, or I'll need to sit on the sofa and watch Friends again. Um, and, and just like try and make myself, I'll try and kind of go, oh, you must remember how much you love this work. And then I'll go because I've left processes and structure, I'm like, oh, I can just dip in and do that.
Hmm.
So I still am keeping things ticking over, and it's not a complete crash and burn like it has been.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say I've put certain things in place, but also it's things like I like a routine. That's the AU in me. So I really love, I've even got like how I have my breakfast and how I place it on the table, and how it all has to be neatly lined up, and how it has to be in a certain time frame in the morning, and if it's not within that time frame, then I kind of freak out for the rest of the day. And like, so putting those things in place, obviously it's much easier because I live on my own, but now my partner is, we're merging our lives, we're spending more and more time together, like telling him that what I need helps me then structure my business better as well. Because I'm learning to self-advocate so much, which is not something that we're trained to, and we all should be, no matter what our needs are. Then it's like, okay, what can I actually put in place more now that I've communicated my needs? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. We just eat it into ourselves, whereas actually you should have just said, oh, actually, I like it a certain way. Sorry, but, we shouldn't even say sorry, right? But that's so, oh, sorry, I'm a bother. Sorry, I'm causing you any kind of distress by doing a certain little thing, or, just accepting that I do a certain little thing.
For sure. And I think it's very much tied in with being more visible, to be honest. Not to be all LinkedIn bro marketing, but back to the thing, being visible. Like because sorry for existing is something that, particularly as women, we have been taught that that is the correct way to be. So sorry for existing, sorry for taking up space. But then it's gone too far the other way. Like the word unapologetic, I mean, it's lost all meaning. The word authentic, it's lost all meaning. But we still like to use it because we like to use it because what it means. But
Yeah,
it's kind of weird because we're like, I'm unapologetic, no BS, jargon, no fluff, all these
yeah,
expressions. We're like, we've gone too far the other way because we're like, we women deserve to be at the top. Well, actually, what if no one's at the top and we're all just figuring it out together? What about, like, I'll give you an example. I took my niece to the Tower of London on the weekend, and she was asking me. She's only 8, so she was asking me like, "What's this building? Why are we all looking at it?" So I was explaining to her that back in the olden days, people would be locked up there. And she's like, well, who would lock them up? I said, well, kings and queens, they were a bit different to how they are now. I was like, well, maybe not, but that's another conversation. But like, they locked people up because they didn't want them to become king or queen. And then she was like, well, why doesn't everyone sit around and discuss who wants to be leader? And then they all figure it out together. And I was like, and that's how an 8-year-old invents democracy. Like, it's like,
the problem is that with age comes the ego, and then a lot of people want to be leader.
yes.
And it is more about ego, right? I mean,
Oh,
there
yeah,
are probably a few people that actually want to do it because they want to change something, but get lost along the way because of,
for sure. For
life.
sure.
But
Yeah.
nowadays, I feel like everyone who's on top is doing it for their own gain rather than for anyone else's, right?
Yes. So they stay on top. Like it was we're back when I was being so visible and had this very strong personal brand. I mean, I still have a strong personal brand, it's just changed. But I would say that I was encouraged to be undiluted. So it was like this pursuit and this hustle. It was like, stay on track, only talk about the thing that you're going to be selling or anything else that might back that up. And I'm like, but what about, and what about, and what about? And then people sort of freak, oh, well, you can, and then of course people accuse you of being tokenistic or whatever the word tokenist. It's kind of weird that to be visible, it seems it's basically it's like this really weird thing when you're encouraged to be visible, you're encouraged to be undiluted, to be to be undiluted. So like very much pursuit of one thing, and anything else just has to sort of fall by the wayside. Someone else has to figure it out. It's not up to you because you're busy taking up space. You're busy being, stepping into your power. And I'm not dismissing anyone who does that, but I do think that that was not the way for me, and it took me quite a while to figure that out. And that's probably why I sort of was like, okay, well, let's just how can I dismantle this whilst also still earning a living? Because this is something that does bother me, Nicole, and I'm going to talk about it. I don't get, so, when lots of people, maybe they built up a big following, maybe built up a semi decent following, whatever the following numbers are, they'll say, you know what, I'm taking a step back. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm figuring out what I'm going to do next. They never talk about what they do to fund that. And I try and be transparent about how I'm trying to fund that, because otherwise I do not think I don't know why people would follow me. I don't know why people would want to respond to my stories or my posts or whatever it is. Because otherwise, what's the point? Like, oh, I've got this secret stash of cash actually that I'm not going to talk about, or I've got a secret job because we've been told that it's shameful to have a day job whilst you're trying to build your business or whatever it might be. And I'm like, no, bloody be transparent about this. Like, it's really important to me to try and be transparent about what's going on, about how I'm building my life or creating this business or whatever it might, however you want to phrase it. And I hope that that comes through when I'm talking.
Yeah, and I think in general, it's better to normalize things. It's not shameful to, have another job or, for whatever reason, sometimes you're not making enough money yet to support yourself solely on your business. Sometimes you want the diversity, but it's so often that I hear people, it's like, oh, I've just looked for, I had to look for a part-time job, or I'm now working at a Tesco a couple of days or whatever. That's totally fine. It's whatever works for you and what you need at a point. It's like, I hate that people feel shame about having a bump in the road and kind of still figuring it out. It's not, everyone has different needs and has like different journeys.
It is not successful to feel so ashamed to tell people the truth. That is not success.
No.
And I noticed this particularly, like I'm talking about, those kind of female empowerment manifestation kind of vibes. There's a lot of that going on there. And I'm just like, but are you earning money and sustaining yourself? Because if you're not, then that's okay, but you can't pretend that it is. Oh, I've got, I'm running a brilliant life because of it. Great, good. But that's not what's sustaining you. And then, because then what really annoys me is then they start like selling these courses as if they have built an income from it. And I'm like, no, it's giving MLM. It's giving multi-level marketing. No, we don't do that here. No.
Yeah, they talk about how much money they make, but how much money do they have to spend to make that? So that's the other thing, right?
Oh my God. Let me tell you, I remember I did a launch. It was just before lockdown. It was the January before lockdown. I had no money. So what happened was I had been selling this SEO course and I've been selling it in various different ways. And I was doing the live launches and I was also doing like an evergreen. I hated doing evergreen sales, but I was doing evergreen sales at the time. And I was with the sales coach and he said, you need to like treat yourself if you have consecutive 10K months. So I treated myself, Nicole. I took myself to Mexico for 10 days for my birthday and it was great. But I came back and then some unexpected expenses came and I had no money come the January. And I did this big launch and because I spent out with this Facebook ads manager. I spent obviously a lot of money on the Facebook ads and I didn't have enough money to pay my rent. But on the face of it, I had this 25 grand launch, right? So I was like, oh my God, everyone's going to think that I've got loads of money. But I didn't see all of that money, obviously. Some of it was on payment plan, so I didn't see it for 2 years. One person tried to basically just stop answering me when they failed in their payment plan. So I didn't see that for 3 years. So like it really wasn't like this, oh my God, she's got 25. Like I hate talking about money in some ways because we've been told we're not supposed to talk about money, but like also it wasn't actually a 25K launch because I spent 3 grand on the Facebook ads manager. I spent 3 grand on Facebook ad spend. I didn't see a lot of it because it was on payment plans. So it's and obviously, living in London, it's not cheap. But like it was just it was strange to me that I was supposed to advertise this so broadly. And yet I was still living at the time, no shame, but I was living in a house share at the time. And I was not living a life that I was like, I'm, but the Instagram told everyone different, because I felt encouraged to present myself in a certain way for sure.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was a weird time.
Yeah, that's the business of the life of a business owner, right? It's always
Yes.
a bit weird. To conclude the first part, I always kind of ask two questions. So there's one is, what would you tell starting out Maddie with the wisdom and the knowledge you have now? Is there anything she should do differently or maybe do exactly the same way?
Oh my goodness. Well, I would strongly suggest she goes for an ADHD test. Um, and starts treating that so that she is less mean to herself right from the get-go. Because all the ways that I network and explore opportunities and go for it, that kind of naivety that I had back then, that served me very well in many ways. It did. But it also It led me to trust the wrong people in certain aspects. It led me to listen to the wrong people in certain aspects. And so I would just say, just remember that you do have your own brain, that you can use your own discernment, and believe people. So believe people when they, the results, of course, are the hard facts that you get for people. But also when you hear, how do I phrase this? Basically, I would show myself a lot more love rather than trying to clamber for validation from others so much. Yeah.
Yeah, those are wise words. Because we all do it, right? We are literally looking for validation elsewhere, whereas actually we're the only ones that can give us the validation we actually need long term anyway. The other thing is, what's something you're really proud of? Could be not business related, could be business related, or mix of both.
Oh, I'm proud of a lot of things. I'm proud of the relationship I have with my nieces. They're adorable. Long may it continue. I had a good chat with my niece at the weekend, saying, "Listen, at some point, when you become a little bit older, you're not going to want to hang out with me as much, and that's going to be okay because I'm still going to be here on the other side. And probably when you want me to buy you a drink, so that's okay." And she looked at me and she went, "I'll think about it." I loved it. She's so big of me, I swear. I'm very proud of the fact that I never thought I could live on my own in London. And I've now been living in this flat for 5 years, so I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of building at the Pints and Purpose community. So I host local networking meetups in the pub for female founders and freelancers, female and non-binary founders and freelancers. And it's very important to me to have that in-person contact. And I'm very proud of myself for like talking about mental health so much these days. It hasn't been an easy journey. It continues to not be an easy journey, but I don't think, some people say it's spoken about too much. I personally don't think it's spoken about enough. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think those are the main things.
we're only just getting started on the mental health, talking about it more, right?
I feel wholeheartedly 100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is such a lovely end to our first part of the conversation. And for everyone else who's listening, stay tuned. In a couple of days, there will be another episode where we're talking actually about SEO and how to, do certain things for your business to help you be more seen and be more visible. And talk to you soon. Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you.